From his recent beef with LeBron James that infuriated everyone, to the fact that he's not even a good enough player to act this rashly. Here are all the reasons why everyone hates Dillon Brooks. For starters, a lot of people think he's just kind of an ass. I mean, not to be too blunt here, but there really is just no other way to put it. Brooks has shown time and time again that he just doesn't care about the fine line between being competitive on the floor and being a downright annoyance that no one wants. Take, for example, the recent fight between Brook Lopez and Trey Lyles. After it all went down, everyone mostly had good things to say about each other. Water under the bridge, right? Well, not Dillon. He wasn't as easy at letting the whole thing go as the rest of the players were. And that's just one of the many examples of the guy starting beef and being involved in all kinds of altercations. It's no wonder people just can't stand him anymore. I mean, even Kyrie Irving has had it with the guy. In their match against the Mavericks, Brooks guarded Kyrie for most of the Grizzlies' 112-108 home win against Dallas. And let me tell you, just in that one game, Irving really looked like he was going to lose his mind over Brooks. In fact, he even went as far as to complain about the whole situation, telling Brooks to keep playing that dumb defense. It didn't help that Dillon picked up a technical foul for taunting the Mavericks bench right after a dunk. In the end, he was just standing there, holding two jerseys like a clown. He was supposed to do a post-game jersey swap with Kyrie, and Irving really just left him hanging. He claimed that it was unintentional, but considering the passive-aggressive match they had with one another, I wouldn't be surprised if he really went out of his way to do that. Not that Dillon doesn't deserve it. I mean, his attitude would make sense if he was actually all that good, but really, his offense leaves a lot to be desired. Now, I'm not knocking his skills. He's a skillful player who's incredibly competitive, which can be a plus point, but in the right doses. Unfortunately for Brooks, usually that means he'll be trying to play all by himself. When he's on the court with Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr., he still insists on taking it upon himself to go for isolation plays. And these plays usually end up with him taking a terrible shot with a low percentage of going in. But that's not all. Brooks also likes to take 1 to 2 transition pull-up 3 attempts per game, even though he rarely makes them. And he's usually taking these shots with 3 to 5 defenders in the paint and no offensive rebounders. It's like he's trying to sabotage the team's chances of winning. If you don't believe me, just look at how the other teams guard him. They mostly dare him to shoot, especially from beyond the arc. And why wouldn't they? Most of them think he's a bad offensive player based on their defense. But despite all this, Brooks still thinks he's a great offensive player. It's like he's living in a different reality than the rest of us, which just adds more fuel to everyone's fire. It gives them even more reasons to hate the guy, like how he taunted LeBron James. Now, Dillon wants to be a bad man so badly that he's willing to risk humiliating himself in the process. And boy, has he been doing just that in his attempts to get inside the head of one of the most dominant players on the planet, Los Angeles Lakers forward LeBron James. Here's the thing. While James is a 4-time champion and MVP who has the honor of being the most prolific scorer in NBA history, Brooks is more known for his technical fouls and game ejections. And yet, that didn't stop him from calling James old after the Grizzlies beat the Lakers in the second game of their playoff series. But let's be real, Dillon isn't good enough to back up his trash talk. In Game 3, James had had enough of Brooks' antics. He walked over to him, said a few words, and gave him a death stare that would make even the toughest of players tremble. And then, of course, James led the Lakers to victory. despite being on the receiving end of one of Brooks' infamous technical fouls, a literal low blow to James's groin that got Dillon ejected from the game. And that's not even the only time he decided to play dirty during a game. The man literally got into a physical altercation with Donovan Mitchell. Brooks ended up punching Mitchell in a place where the sun don't shine, which, understandably, didn't sit well with him. Unsurprisingly, Mitchell had some choice words for Dillon in the post-game press conference, and you could tell he was not happy. He mentioned how Brooks and him have had their personal battles for years, and that he's been busting Dillon's ass for just as long. Ouch. But it's not just other players that Brooks has been getting into it with. During a game against the Miami Heat, Brooks went chasing after a loose ball and ended up crashing into a cameraman on the sidelines. Did he apologize or try to help the poor guy up? Nope. He decided to push the guy over instead, which reportedly led to some injuries. Not cool, Dillon. But as it turns out, all this recent behavior of his may have a reason behind it. Now, this is just a theory, but you see, the Grizzlies are known for their tough, hard-nosed style of play. They push and shove their opponents and don't back down from anyone. Now, while Brooks definitely embodies some of that, I believe that the real reason for the Grizzlies' edge is their center, Steven Adams. Adams is the player you can least mess with within the league. He's tough, he's physical, and he's not afraid to get in someone's face if they step out of line. Without him, the Grizzlies are missing a key part of their identity. And I think that's why Brooks has been acting out more than usual. But, of course, that's no excuse to be a pain in everyone's behind. Like, take all the drama between the Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors as an example. Now, the Grizzlies have been quite vocal about their ambitions to dethrone the Warriors and become the top dogs in the Western Conference. And who can blame them? The Warriors have been dominating the NBA for years, and it's always good to have a bit of healthy competition, right? But things took a turn during a game earlier this season when Klay Thompson made a shot over Dillon, causing the Grizzlies forward to fall down. Thompson then taunted him by getting low and staring him down as he ran down the court. And that's when Brooks went on a very public anti-Warriors media tour, calling out the team and their players. Before their second-to-last matchup, Brooks and Draymond Green had a very public back and forth. He said he doesn't like Draymond at all, and doesn't like anything to do with the Warriors. But let's be real, folks. Dillon is just trying to get under the Warriors' skin and throw them off their game. And that's not even where all this ended. Because, well, Draymond wasn't gonna take that lying down. He hopped on his podcast to respond to Brooks' comments. And let's just say he had a lot to say. First, Draymond pointed out that Dillon probably doesn't like the Warriors because they always beat the Grizzlies. Ouch. Then, he questioned Brooks' basketball IQ and impact on the Grizzlies, saying that he's not the kind of player you build a dynasty around, and he didn't just stop there. He also questioned whether Brooks' own teammates even like him, while bragging about how his teammates in Golden State like him because of his contributions to their 4 championships. It's fair to say that Dillon has been doing a pretty good job at bringing out the worst in all the other players around him. But those were all the reasons why everyone hates Dillon Brooks.